All right, all right. No, today is not Thursday. This is not the day. This is Wednesday. And Wednesday, usually on my pages, I put a post saying, Talk with an Elder Day. So I'm going to do that today for you. I'm going to be the elder. Those you aren't talking to me, but I'm going to tell you some things as an elder, how I grew up, things that I experienced, things that I know, and things that were going on in my life as a youngster growing up in Patterson, New Jersey. That's where I was born and raised at. Okay, so another thing too is that um, I'm gonna try and do this here on a regular basis if I can. If any of you out there have a question for an elder or for me, you can DM me, inbox me, whatever, email me, whatever with your questions. What I'll do, I'll come back on and I'll answer those questions for you. And I will give information of who sent it, where it was coming from, the person, if you want me to. If not, I'll just read the question and then give the answer. Okay, we do that. Just see if we can make it happen and talk to you another day. But anyway, what I want to talk to you about is when I was growing up in my house, I had five brothers, two sisters, and I was about 8 or 9 years old when I first saw a television. That we got a television in our house. Now televisions were out, during that time period, but we didn't have a television until I was about, like I said, 8 or 9 years old. So it was a while. So I didn't grow up watching television as a child in those formative years. What we had was radio. And radio, we had done shows like The Shadow Knows, Who Knows What Evil Lurks in the Heart of Man, The Shadow. We had Amos and Andy. We had The Lone Ranger. We had Gildersleeve. We had Long John Silver. Different radio show programs. And back then it was called theater of the mind, meaning that you had to use your mind, you had to use your thoughts to visualize what was being done. Because what they would do, they would say, and he's walking down the street and you would hear footsteps. Then he said he opened up the door and you hear a door creak. So these are all things that we grew up with. So we had to use our imagination, our minds, to envision what was actually happening during this period of time as it is being explained by the narrator. That's some of the things. Another thing too is that we had what was called an ice box. Okay, it wasn't a refrigerator back then. It was called an ice box. An ice box was a box that was designed to hold ice. And what would happen, I think it was twice a week, the Iceman would come by in a horse-drawn wagon. The guy would come down the street with his horse, and in the back of the wagon, he would have this massive block of ice. And we'd tell him what we wanted, and he would take the ice pick and pick out the exact size, and it would be like 50 cents. And we'd take it inside the house and put it in the box, and that's how we would store our food and keep it cold and fresh until the next time that he would come by and we would get another block of ice and we would have that. Also, we had the coal man. The man would come by with his coal truck. We had a coal cellar in our house, and he would put in half a ton of coal, and we'd watch him dump the coal in there. It was exciting, as a child to see all this coal coming down the chute into your house, and then we would get the coal buckets, take it upstairs, and then we'd have a coal stove, an old big pot belly stove that we would have to put the wood in and the paper and get the fire blazing and then throw in the coal, close the door, and let it heat up to heat up the house. That's what we had. And on top of the stove, we had to put a bucket of water, okay? Meaning that because it would get so hot in there that the heat would be dry and there was no moisture in the air, so you had to put some water on top of the stove to create moisture. So that way you'd be able to breathe the air without having your nose get dry or bloody or whatever have you. That's some of the things that we did. Also, we had different diseases back then as well. None that you don't have today that were very prevalent. These were very prevalent diseases. We had measles, mumps, chickenpox, whooping cough, diphtheria, polio, scarlet fever, typhoid, and those were some of the ones that we had. And they were very common back then. They were very common. And if you happen to get one of those diseases in your house, the Board of Health would come to your house, put a sign on your door saying this place was unacceptable. You were quarantined for at least 2 weeks. You were 2 weeks quarantined until the diseases would be taken care of or passed, whatever have you. Now, we would have a doctor come to the house. Dr. Thomas was his name. He would come with his little doctor bag, and he would examine whoever needed to be examined and take care of whatever needed to be taken care of the person. And he'd give you whatever medicines that you needed. And he would come back again the following week or 2 weeks afterwards to see how everybody was doing. But that's what he would do. He was Dr. Thomas, and he would make his weekly visits or bi-weekly visits, whatever it was, and come to the house and take care of you. Now, if there was some things going on in the house and the doctor wasn't available, that's when my grandmother would step in. I remember the time where around my neck was swollen. Big, I don't know what was going on with it. I don't know what you would call it, but it was swollen. So my grandmother, what she did, she would go out to the backyard, go back to the garden, and she would get a potato. And then she would take the potato, cut it up, and put it in an old sock. I don't know why it had to be an old sock, but that was part of the remedy. And she put it in an old sock and tied it around my neck. And I had to wear this here thing for 2 or 3 days. After the 3rd day, she'd take it off and see what was going on. And if the swelling had gone down, it was fine. And when you opened up the sock to get the potato out, the potato was black. The potato was jet black, stinking jet black. Whatever it was, she knew what she was doing. That was the cure for that. Another thing, that if we had, let's say if you had a cut on your hand, on your foot, somewhere on your body, and it was infected, a serious infection, what she would do, what she did was she would go to what we had back then was called a bread box, where you would put the bread in. And the bread that we had in there would only be good for maybe 2 or 3 days before it started getting moldy. And as the bread got moldy, you didn't throw it away. She took the moldy bread and put it on the side. And then when you got a cut or an infection or whatever have you, she would go get a piece of the moldy bread, a little green, moldy ass bread, and she would wet it with a little bit of water, get it kind of soft, put it on whatever the wound was or the infection was, wrap it up, and in 2 or 3 days, she'd take it off and the infection would be gone. These were old-timey things that would be going on that I experienced, that I know, that my grandmother used to do, my mother used to do. If you got a serious cold or a chest cold, something going on with chest, my mother would get some Vicks Vapor Rub and rub my chest heavily with that and scoop out some of it in a jar and put it in my mouth, and I had to swallow it. So she gave it to us internally and externally to get rid of whatever's going on in the chest. If we had a cold, a serious cold, head cold or whatever, she would get an orange, garlic, onion, and a little bit of rum, because it was Jamaican household, so we had Heart and Sun rum, and put that into a container and mix it up. And every day she would give you a spoonful in the morning and a spoonful at night. And within 2 or 3 days, the cold was gone. No more cold. Also, every week we had to take what was called cod liver oil. We all lined up, and it was nasty. Oh, we hated doing that shit. But we had to line up, and she would pour it into a spoon and give us cod liver oil and send us on our way. Those are just some of the things that I experienced growing up as a child. Another thing, we didn't have zip codes. We didn't have area codes for the phone. Those things didn't exist. Those are something that came later on. And you younger people who were born in that time period, you have no idea of these things that were taking place prior to you coming here, because now what we're experiencing the new world order. The order that we grew up in, the world that I grew up in, no longer exists. The thing, we didn't have computers, we didn't have calculators. The thing what we had to do, we had to do things in our mind. We had to think. We were taught to think. And I remember when we had, in school, we had arithmetic, okay? And what you would do, the teacher would say, okay, put down your pencils for the problems. And she would say, okay, 5 plus 3 minus 2 times 4 equals what? And you throw up your hand and raise, give the answer. Because you had to figure it out. You couldn't write it on paper. Your mind was a computer. And so you had to get the numbers, and she would do that. Okay, next problem would be 3 times 2 plus 4 minus 5 is how much? And you throw your hand up again, and that's how we learned to do math. So whenever we got money, we could look at the money, and we don't have to figure it out. We could look at it and see how much the money is. But nowadays, people can't count money. You go to the store and they have to give you your change. The machine tells you how much change you give. Back in the day, they would add it up, and you have to figure it out, okay? If it costs $5.75 and I gave you, let's say $10, you say, okay, $5.75, a quarter, that's $6. Then you would count it, you would figure it out that way in the cash register. But you don't have that now today. You don't have any of those things. You are now in a different world. But for us older people, we're looking at your world and saying the things that you people have are beyond what we would have ever thought about growing up. I talk about fiction or talk about new world. This is it. You people have got that. So that's something that, some of the things. Now that's just me just running my mouth telling you things. Another thing too is that, like I said in the beginning, if you have a question you want to ask an elder and you want to ask me a question about something, information, because what we will tell you are things you never knew that you never knew, okay? And we would answer it. I will answer the question. If you DM me, those of you who have my information, you can DM me, inbox me, email me, whatever, and I'll look at the questions and I will pick maybe 1 or 2 questions, maybe every week, every other week, and answer it here on Talk to an Elder. All right? Now, I got it out of the way. I just want to introduce you to that. Okay, just to give you a little bit of groundwork as to what is going on with that. Now, another thing I want to talk to you about is a few things that are coming up in the, as you would call it, the future. But I want you all to do this. Pay attention. There's shit going on that you don't know, and they're not telling you, and they're not going to tell you until it's too late. When I was in the Boy Scouts, our motto was, be prepared. Expect the unexpected. All right? I'm going to say this to you, people. Be prepared for the blackouts that are coming. Now, you might say, oh, I didn't know black. Trust me when I tell you, there are going to be some serious blackouts. If you don't have flashlights, or if you don't have batteries, then you better get some. All right? If another thing too is water situation. Water situation is becoming very, very serious. They're not making it too big of a deal. And when the shit hits the fan, you're gonna wonder where you're gonna get your water from. All right? That's gonna be a water situation. I got a video that I sent to some people, and maybe I'll post it. But this here person in Texas, this man of color, who has this machine that can get water out of the air. Gallons and gallons and gallons of water. Maybe I'll post it tomorrow, and on my page you'll see it, what he's doing. Another thing too is that you better pay attention to the food situation. Now, it may not be a big deal for you now, but they're doing stuff with food, and China is like, there are certain countries like China, Russia, even though you might believe it's here, in other countries, they are hoarding food. Quite a bit of the food that comes to this country comes from other countries, believe it or not. It's not all grown here. A lot of the apples that you think you get are grown here, they're coming from other countries. If you look at a bottle, next time you go to the store and you see a bottle of Mott's apple juice, anybody's apple juice, look at the top part of it. Look at the very top of it, and kind of angle it, and you'll see where the apples are coming from. They're all not coming from this country. They're coming from other countries. And they're blending it together and mixing it and putting its name on it. And you're thinking you're getting apple juice from the United States. You're not. It's not going to happen like that. Again, pay attention to China and Taiwan. Shit's getting serious there. One thing about people, I know this, is people don't change unless they have to. In other words, that people are content in living in their own world of comfort, and they don't want to do anything until something happens. That's when shit begins to go on. Like I said, the universe will tap you on the shoulder to get your attention or kick you in your ass. You don't want the kick in the ass. Believe me, I've been there, done that, and got a t-shirt, so I know. So there's things that we're telling you need to pay attention to. I don't know if you know that Monday was a very special day. Monday was 666 day. It was the 6th month, 6th day, 2022, 222, 6. And it was a day where people that know this number and use it for whatever reason they use it for were doing certain rituals, certain incantations, certain sacrifice, certain things were being done on that particular day. Pay attention to those things. Another thing too, if you saw they made a big deal about the Queen this week, and the celebration of people over there singing for her, and I don't get it. I really don't understand it. And they showed this here, her in a hologram of her. I'll say that in the golden carriage with the horses, and she's in there waving, but it was a hologram. It wasn't her in there. But the thing is that people were waving back as if it was her. And it's the same thing they did with the Pope. The Pope was on top of the balcony. They tried to get rid of this video, but I got a copy of it. And you see after he finished waving, people waving at him and all this stuff. As soon as he turned around to go inside, he disappeared. A hologram. They're going to start putting these holograms out there. And I told you all before, the last time I was on here, I showed you all about the glasses right here. I got them, and here they are. You need to get a pair. These are the blue blockers. All right, they're on. You can get them online, and they block the blue ray because they're going to have that Project Bluebeam in full effect pretty soon. And you're going to be seeing shit up in the sky. You ain't gonna know what it is or how it is. But if you got the blue ray blockers glasses, you will be able to see through it. That will help you out a lot. Another thing, there's a Netflix I was watching the other day, and people who are on social media, who deal with social media, this thing here will blow your mind. It's called The Social Dilemma. Okay? It's Netflix, The Social Dilemma. If you get a chance, look at it, and you'll hear about Netflix. You'll hear about all your social media sites, your Google, your Facebook, your TikTok. You're going to hear all about these other things and what's really, really going on. Get it while it's still available, because you might take it off because it's got too much information on it. One more thing I want to end with is this. You see on the news a lot now, shootings. This person getting shot, those children who got shot there in Texas, different things going on, shootings. Now, let's stop and think for a second. Let's be fact. I'm not trying to make fun of or mockery or, not sound as if it's not serious, because it's always something serious when someone gets shot. But since I can remember going back, there's always been time in this country, there isn't a day that goes by that someplace, somewhere, someone isn't getting shot. And that's a fact. Go look at the FBI stats, look at the government stats on shootings, and you'll see that there are people getting shot every single day. People are getting stabbed every single day. There are people getting beaten to death every single day. Look at the television programs they have on there, Investigation Discovery. The whole program is nothing but people getting killed. And the majority of the people they show, and I'm going to say this here, are white people killing white people. Fuck that black on black bullshit story they put out. In every culture, every society, every people, they kill each other. Chinese people kill Chinese people. Italians kill Italians, each other. Jews kill Jews. Whatever. Look at the culture. Yes, black people kill black people, but it's not always a black on black crime. It's also white on white crimes that they don't put out, and a lot of them take place in the suburbs. Look at the Investigation Discovery. Look at 2020 show. They say they got it all on the television where they show you all of these white people killing each other wholesale. Now, they do show a few times where people of color kill each other, and that happens, but it's not as prevalent or predominant as you are made to believe. They are the ones that are committing most of these crimes. When you look at the profile of a serial killer, it will tell you most of the time it's white male between the age of 30-something, and they will describe it as somebody who was white. Now, over the period of time, there have been some people of color who have gotten involved in this, but predominantly serial killers are people who are not of color. They are Caucasians. Look it up, look at the facts, look at things going on. I'll be coming back on here again. This is Wednesday, tomorrow, Thursday, and we all know what Thursday is, right? So I'm going to be talking tomorrow about some things that I found that I don't really give two hoots about. And I'll be coming back next week again. Probably, if people have any questions for Talk to an Elder Day, I'll probably do some of that again. But I just want you to know that we're here for you. And another thing, too, I want to say this. I want to end with this here. is that keep an eye on Joe Biden and his health. And during this year, I must tell you this, that between the months of October to January, there's going to be some shit going on that's going to cause a lot of unrest and stuff people aren't going to expect. I'll get more into that maybe another time with that. Also, pay attention to the skies. Keep looking up because you're going to start seeing things that they can't explain. There are going to be things that are going to be going on that will not be explained easily by the media or by those people who are in charge. And we'll get more into that too later on down the road. But also, another thing too, like those of you who are religious, read your book of Revelations where it reveals things, and read about the four horsemen. Okay, read about the four horsemen, and it'll tell you things that's going on now, and you'll be able to see it because if you read the book and understand it, it will tell you what's happening now is what's supposed to be happening. All right, with that, again, watch the weather, be prepared, stock up on some food, on some water, and other things you're going to be needing them. If you have young children, make sure that they are taken care of. And there's one more thing here. I want is a book. People, I can't see it. I had it written down somewhere, but I don't know. I'll tell you about it maybe Thursday when it comes up, because I had it here, but I can't find it. But it's, oh, here it is. There's a book called The United States of Fear. Read that. I read through it, and oh man, if there's anything in there that you think you know, this will tell you that you don't know. Okay, so until next week, Wednesday, I wish you all well. If you want to contribute or donate, send a love gift, you can do it to my PayPal, JAES123 @ Yahoo, or my Cash App, JAES $JAES124. Anything you'd like to give, a love gift, a contribution, we would greatly appreciate it. But until next time, peace and love to you all.